live in the East Lake area, and I was walking on Lake Shore with my dog, Galvey, crossing the street. And yeah, unfortunately, some young people basically deliberately tried to run their car at me, like at top speeds.
Wait. So what? They tried to run you over?
Yeah, it's one of those things where, like,
try to downplay it. I mean, don't say like kind of like, oh, you know, it's like, well, you know, they were kind of like out in there drinking, they missed me, but that's okay. I mean, it sounded like, what the heck was going on?
Yeah, it was one of those things too where it was very deliberate. Like it was, first of all, it was red light. They deliberately sort of squeezed around the car that was stopped properly at the red light to get at me. It was like one of those things where the engine was roaring. It was like they were going at top speeds and they were filming me and mocking me. And here's the thing. I am someone, I would say, that is not, you know, I do believe in, like, you know, restorative justice systems. I luckily didn't get hurt, not because of them, but because I, you know, ran for my life off of the road to get out of the way. But
out of the blue, all of a sudden, like,
yeah. I was just minding my business Sunday morning, 9:30 in the morning, you know, and it was one of those things, as even like, you know, pedestrian rules and everything. It had just turned the walk signal. I started crossing the street. There was no, like, you know, I was trying to get at the end of the walk signal, nothing like that.
So what did you guys look like? Or gals or girls? Who were they? What was going on?
Well, they looked young. And that was the thing, right, is because they looked young, my desired outcome in terms of justice for these folks, because I didn't get hurt.
You like young, like they were kids?
Honestly, I don't know. I'm not in a position.
Right on. Yeah. It's just scary, that's what to hear. I'm sorry, go ahead.
It is. And it is one of those things where I think, in my mind, the best path forward for them, for both justice, you know, safety for the community, as well as for them, honestly, if this is part of a pattern of behavior, hopefully not, but let's say they go on to do it again. I think the fact that, you know, I would have liked to see them, you know, have their driver's license revoked, and for them to be enrolled in a lot of community service, to have a stern talking to by a police officer, to really sort of set them, you know, just straight in terms of, like, you know, a car is not a video game. This is real life, and you didn't injure somebody or kill somebody this time, but you could in the future. And should you do that, you are facing serious prison time. This is not a joke.
Right. Let alone using you as a subject for a viral video.
Right, exactly. I might be on some dark corner of the internet, for all I know. You know, tiny Asian woman screaming. I did yell, you know, what the fuck? So, am I allowed to swear on this show? I yelled, like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I am not someone who's quick to anger, and so...
Well, under the circumstances, you're allowed, so...
Yes, right. Right. Anyways...
Is this a racial issue? In other words, did you feel like they were targeting you because you're Asian? Honestly.
You know, it's very possible. They didn't yell out, say, you know, a racial slur tied to my identity. So can I say for sure that's the case? No. I couldn't say definitively that it was a hate crime of a racial nature, but, you know, in my head, is there a possible connection? Absolutely. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, someone just does that. Like, all of a sudden, you. It's like, you know, I mean, one of our fans here, Anwar, well, I haven't seen Anwar before. Anwar says, Fox News is showing an Oakland gas station completely ransacked by thieves. Right, that's the 80 to 100. And the thieves are not concerned about a police response at all, causing 100,000 worth of damage. How do we change this? That's his question to you. It's a good question.
It is. So, yeah, so if I could just finish my story.
Yes, I'm sorry about that. Right.
Yeah, no worries. So I guess the point is not so much on the incident itself, so much as that after that I started to dig into some of the public safety data, and especially because I had called the police department, it was just clear. I was like, man, I can tell this is not a priority, you know, and I was just like, this is interesting. It's just like, I can just, something is going on with this police department was my sense from just talking to them. The other thing was, I was like, there was a fatality at that same intersection not too long ago, and I was like, okay, they have there's no speed cameras, no license plate readers, nothing at this intersection, and given that I've lived all over the United States, I'm like, this is just part of the norm, I think, in a lot of cities, particularly like a main boulevard, like Lakeshore, where you got a ton of traffic. It was just something that I was like, what is going on? So I started to dig into the data, and I think something that really stuck out to me is the fact that here in Oakland, based off of 2019 data, which is before we experienced that crime rate in 2022, 2023, we were already sitting at like the fourth highest crime rate in the United States, and yet our police per capita was below the national average. And so I even did like a mapping of all the cities in the United States, did a scatter plot, because I wanted to sort of just benchmark Oakland against other cities, kind of cut through the talking points. I know we have folks that, have made this argument that we've funded the police department too much. I just want to look at how Oakland compares. And it was one of those things where I'm like, don't get me wrong. I'm not someone who's like, I love law enforcement. Mm-hmm. I definitely think that we need to address police brutality in the police department. I mean, Oakland's.
Yeah, because I thought, you're right, because I said to someone the other day that I thought that after George Floyd was killed, I thought the whole mantra was stop killing black guys, like me, right? And all of a sudden we went from that to defund the police. I'm thinking, how do we go from there to there?
Yeah, right, where I think the goal should be like, absolutely rooting out police brutality from the police department. But I think by not here in Oakland, right, there might be some cities, because I saw the per capita numbers for some cities. Maybe some cities should honestly reallocate resources from their police department to other things. But in Oakland, I was struck by like, wow, we are literally one of the few cities in the United States that has an extraordinarily high crime rate and yet is choosing to have very low numbers of police. It was like Atlanta has a smaller population size and they have 3 times the size of the police force. It was things like that just stuck out to me. And so when I started paying attention to some of the dialogue and some of the decisions made at our city leadership, I was just like, look, this doesn't make sense to me. And I also started canvassing out in East Oakland, because for me it's always important to center equity in any sort of policy decisions. And the thing that really blew me away was how many people in East Oakland, and maybe it was just by sample, literally everyone I approached on the street was willing to talk to me, said, we feel actually unsafe. We would like to see more police officers here. That was something that really stuck out to me. They were concerned about the response time with police officers not coming to their aid quick enough. And so it started making me think around, yes, obviously over-policing is an issue, but under-policing is also an issue,
I got to ask you,